Welcome to Pokhariya official YouTube channel. Please subscribe this channel and find out new more videos. Dear students, in this video, I'm dealing with how to write a formal letter. This presentation is especially focused to the students of class 8, 9 and 10 learning English as a second or foreign language, presented by Govinda Adhikari. Dear students, at the end of this lesson, you will be able to learn the meaning and the format of formal letter and write the formal letter by using the appropriate format. Before we learn to write the formal letter, we have to know its meaning, format, and parts of the letters. Let us have a discussion on each. First of all, let us have a look on the concept of formal letter. A formal letter is one written in a formal and ceremonious language and follows a certain stipulated format. Such letters are written for official purposes to authorities, dignitaries, colleagues, seniors, etc., and not to personal contacts, friends, or family. For example, letter to the editors, complaint letters, job application letters, etc. are the example of formal letters. Now, let us have a look an example of the formal letter. This is the letter to the editor. This letter is written by Pokhariya from Viratnagar, Moram. This is the example of the formal letter. Dear students, the detailed discussion about this letter will be done in the next slide. Now, come to the format of formal letter. Dear students, the formal letter include the following parts. The first part is the heading. The second part is the inside address. The third one, salutation. Fourth one, body or content. Fifth, subscription or complimentary clause, and signature. There are major 6 parts of the formal letter. These parts are sequenced orderly from heading to signature. Let us have a detailed discussion of these parts. The first, the heading. The heading include sender's complete address and date. The next, the inside address. Inside address includes the receiver address. The address's complete address, his or her designation, the organization, and place are mentioned in the inside address. Next part, salutation. Salutation is the opening greeting. Dear students, let us have a look the example of some salutation. The first is dear sir and madam. The second is dear Joshi and Sharma. You can begin your salutation with dear sir and madam when you are not known to the receiver. And if the receiver is male, you can use sir, and when the receiver is female, you can use madam. But when both are not identified in this situation, it is advisable to use dear sir. The second, dear Joshi, dear Sharma, etc. can be used when the sender and receiver are well known to each other. That means if you are well known to the sender, then you can address your letter like Dear Joshi, Sharma, and you can use other sir. So you can see the difference between these two. When you are familiar with the receiver one, you can use the second type of salutation, and when you are not familiar, you can use the first. Now come to the another part, body content, which is the main part of the formal letter. It consists of brief, clear, and courteous message. This message is included in one or more paragraph. Normally, the first paragraph of the content of the formal letter includes the introduction of the topic, and second and other paragraph include the detail. To be more clear, dear students, you can see this example I have taken from the formal letter which I displayed in the previous slide. In this letter, the writer, this is the content, the writer has written about the Dodi system in the previous letter. So one thing you have to consider is, before writing the content in the formal letters, you should make a plan. Here, in that letters, the writer has made a plan like this. The topic Dodi system, he introduced the topic first, and in another paragraphs, he has included effects and ways to control. So this is how you can plan. Just like in an essay writing, you make a plan, then you can make a plan in your body or content of the formal letter. Now come to another one, subscription or complementary clause. This part is the second last part of the formal letters. The complementary clauses can be seen in these two ways. But you can write the complementary clause in two different ways. Yours faithfully and yours sincerely. Dear students, you have to remember how your salutation begins. Or writing subscription depends upon the salutation. If your salutation begins with Dear Sir or Madam, you can write yours faithfully in the subscription. But if your salutation begins with Dear Sharma or Shrestha, something like that, then you can write yours sincerely in the subscription. You got the points, don't you? Now come to the last part, that is the signatures. Signature is written just above the sender's name, your name. But one thing here you have to remember is, in your questions, if you are said not to mention your name, especially in exam questions, this is written, in that case, you can write ABC or XYZ in the place of senders. This is how the 6 parts are arranged in. Now, let us have a look on the layout of the formal letter. Modern train layout and traditional train layout. Dear students, in the modern train layout, you can see all the parts of the letters are kept on the left hand side of the format. The heading is placed at the top left hand corner. The sender address and date is mentioned here. Just below, receiver's address, and then subject, salutation, and then contain complementary closure and signatures. Dear students, about the subject, In this format, I have included the subject in bracket. Here also. So about these subjects, what I want to say is informal letters. It is not necessary to mention the subject there. That's why I have kept it as an optional part. Traditionally, in formal letters, it is found that subject is mentioned. But if you do not mention the subject, it does not matter. So, subject is kept as optional part. Because when you write the formal letters, by means of content, the receiver will understand what is the letter about. That's why it is better not to include. Even if you include subject, it does not make any difference. And actually, what are the difference between these two layout? You can see this. In the traditional trend, heading and signature and complementary closures, they are kept on the right hand side. Or heading or the sender address is kept at the top right hand corner and complementary closure and signatures at the bottom. So these are the difference between these two trends. And after that, receivers, address, and then salutation is placed in the traditional trend. Dear students, you can see something other difference between these two layout also. While writing in the content, you can see the style of the writing. You can see the difference in the style of writing paragraph. Normally, in traditional trend, there is left indentation, but in modern trend, line spacing is left. About that, I will clarify from the next slide. Now come to another one. This is the modify format. This is the modify format. This modify format contains some of the features of the traditional format and then modern format. So one part you can see here, the sender's address or heading. This is taken from the traditional part, and the remaining other parts are arranged according to the modern trend. So only the sender address date is kept to the top right hand corners of the page, but other parts are placed according to the modern trend. Dear students, up to here you see there are different formats of formal letters. You can choose any one of these formats and write your own letter. Now, let us have a detailed discussion with that letters. So, in the letters that I have previously displayed also, about that I'll explain in coming slide as well. This letters is written in the modify format that I have just displayed before. So the sender address is written here, Viratnagar, Morung, and date is written here, and after that the address, and then salutation, and then contain, and then complementary closures, signature. This is what follows the modify format. Now, let us have a detailed discussion on some guidelines for the formal letters. Dear students, before writing formal letters, you have to understand something while writing the informations in the content in the body of the formal letters. The first thing you should consider is you should not use contraction. You are not allowed to write this contracted form in your formal letters. You have to write the full form. You are not you. There are not they. In the same way, you should not use imperatives in your formal letter.
If you write address the problem, this is not accepted. So write the complete sentence. This is the formal one. I think the problem would be addressed. In the same way, you don't use the abbreviation. Don't write this symbol for please. And it is better not to use idioms and phrasal verbs in your formal letter. And another important things, you have to use the same system of writing. There are two systems of writing, open system and closed system. Open system of writing is related with the writing without commas and full stops, and a closed system of writing is related to the writing with use of commas and full stop. So when this system is applied, I can clarify from the example. So open system means the system of writing without commas and full stops, and closed system of writing writing with commas and full stops. So it means you use the same system. If you write with open system in one part, in another part you have to follow the same. And if you start with the closed systems, you write the closed system there. So about that, I'll clarify from the next slide. A single line space between the parts and no indentation, that is a little space left before a new line, are given if we follow the new trend in writing. So no indentation is there in the traditional format. Write all parts to the left if you follow the new trend. So this is what you have to consider while writing the formal letters. Now let us have a detailed discussion. This is already, I explained that this is in the modified format, and the sender address is written here. So I want to explain the open system and closed system of writing by means of this, dear students. In heading and inside address part, you have to follow this system, not in other paragraph writing. In paragraph writing, you can use full stop, comma as necessary, but here and other parts also, okay, you cannot use the mix system. This system here you can see in address, the sender address and date, there is no full stop and comma. This is open system. And here is also no full stop and comma. Here also this is called open system. So if you follow open system here, and then you follow the same system here also. But when you use comma and full stop here, that means in the heading, inside address also you should put the same. So but don't mix, don't write open system and closed system here, and closed system here and open system. And after the inside address, so according to the modified also and then modern trend also, there is no indentation in paragraph writing. You can see there is no space here. Okay, so just you can leave one line spacing here also. Here also you can leave one line spacing, and when this paragraph is completed, here also you have to leave one line spacing. This is how you can go ahead according to the modern trend and modified trend. The distance up to here, you know the things what you have to consider while writing formal letters, and you also understand about the format. In this letter, there is no subject also mentioned, because in the first paragraphs the writer has clarified the subject. The subject is effect of Dory system. So first paragraph always introduce the topics. That's why it is not necessary to mention the subject, except in some official letters. And in the second paragraph, the writer has written about causes and effects and ways to control the Dory system, and he has drawn the attention of the concerned authorities, and he has used the formal language. No contracted form are used here. So this is how you can write your formal letters. I hope you understand the format. You will know the parts, concepts, and everything about the formal letters. Dear students, Now, let us have a practice on the basis of this presentation. After learning that, you try this works at home. Please get ready your pen and paper and write the question. Write a letter to the editor of National Delhi on the following points. Number 1, reckless driving. Number 2, insufficient water supply. Number 3, load shedding. Thank you for watching these videos. I promise to come with new videos in the coming session.